Good morning, I'm Susan Pertnoy. Welcome to Mosaic, Jewish Federation of Palm Beach County's weekly news magazine show. Today, we're talking with Isaac Herzog, Israeli political leader and the newly elected chairman of the Jewish Agency for Israel, about the status of the U.S.-Israel relationship. We'll be right back with Mosaic after this brief commercial break.
If it wasn't for the financial assistance, I couldn't come here.
Every little bit helps. She says, I get stronger every day.
When you have a child and you want the absolute best for them, it's twice as important to make the community strong.
Hi, I'm Jennifer. I could have bought my BMW anywhere, but at Freeman, I love my salesman, my BMW, and Club Freeman.
It's the Season of Love sales event. Enjoy exceptional offers at Braman BMW, West Palm Beach and Jupiter. BramanBMW.com.
The Levin Palace at Morse Life is leasing luxury residences for ages 65 plus, offering more than first-class amenities and white glove service. Life at the Palace is like life aboard a luxury cruise ship with more things to enjoy life now. More fabulous food, more fun, more friends, more family, more freedom, more future. Morse Life is more life. Live it at the Palace. Start your fabulous future now. Call 561-537-3402.
Joining us is Isaac Herzog, chairman of the executive of the Jewish Agency. Very nice to meet you and welcome
Pleasure
to Mosaic.
being here, Suzanne.
First of all, Isaac, what is the mission of the Jewish Agency?
So the Jewish Agency is actually called the Jewish Agency for Israel. It's the world's biggest Jewish organization. And it's the only global partnership between Israel, the state of Israel, and the Jewish world, the diaspora as we term it, even by law, by Israeli law from the 1950s. And the Jewish Agency is the organization that built the state of Israel. We are the ones who were the government in being. I sit in David Ben-Gurion's chair from where he got up to declare the state of Israel. And I never forget it. Now, after the creation of the state of Israel, the Jewish Agency focused heavily on bringing Aliyah, immigrants, Jewish immigrants from all over the world, millions. And in the last generation, especially in these very days, we focus heavily not only on Aliyah, but predominantly on Jewish identity, on the bonds, on the ties, on the connection between Israel and the diaspora, trying our best not to leave anybody behind, taking care of Jewish communities all over the world, the well-being, the safety of Jews, as well as the content of the Jewish world.
What are some of your priorities as the head of the agency?
So it's no secret that I came to this position from politics. My last position in the Knesset, I was the leader of the opposition, and I was also a candidate for prime minister in the previous elections. But when I walked into this position, which hit a very sensitive, passionate chord of my own being, I put as a priority first and foremost to see how and in which way do we adapt the Jewish Agency to the needs of the current era of Jews. For example, the issue of unaffiliated Jews, or let's say clearly about 70% of Jews in the United States are not even affiliated. And I'm not talking about Jewish continuity yet, or the whole question of how do we keep our kids Jewish and all that stuff. It's all combined. I'm focusing heavily on these issues by finding new programs and partners, including predominantly the work of the federations in North America or other communities, and seeing how we can help each community. I just got back from Latin America. I was in Brazil, in Argentina, and Uruguay, and I arrived here from there.
We had a mission that just returned
I know,
from
and
Argentina.
the mission of the Jewish Federation of Palm Beach has hit an incredible response. It was a very important show of solidarity, and I want to say thank you to Michael Hoffman and the team for leading this incredible mission, because what I heard everywhere I went, in the Jewish schools, in the youth movements, in synagogues, what about this trip? But once you see the needs of another community, you realize that each community has its own challenges.
Yes, they do. What is your assessment of the relationship between American Jews and Israel?
So look, there's a lot of noise, a lot of noise. Actually, there's something that everybody speaks about is the rift. And the rift is something that we need to dissect and analyze further, because American Jewry is 6 million Jews. Israeli Jewry is 6 million Jews. I call it Jerusalem and Babylon. Two great, illustrious historical communities. In the past, Jerusalem and Babylon produced two Talmuds, the Jerusalem Talmud and the Babylonian Talmud, and actually there was a lot of connection between the two. We can either grow disparate, whereby Jews in Israel have a different perception of life than Jews in America, or we find ways to connect. This is the challenge. And I'm dealing with this rift, but I must tell you it's a rift within the family, so there's a lot of love and passion there. We have to attend to that, hug everybody, and find ways to talk amidst differences.
Well, what do you think are the issues that unite American Jews with Israel, and conversely divide them?
Okay, so first of all, in terms of uniting, there is a lot of Israel love still in the air when it comes to Jewish communities and the Jews of North America. There is a lot of emotional connections. There's also family connections. There's also much more fields of interest. So in this sense, I feel a certain sense of optimism. What divides? What divides are two main things. One is, of course, the fact that in Israel, most of the society is secular, but the Orthodox establishment controls most of what has to do with religion, whilst here in the United States it's out of choice and predominantly conservative and reform in terms of the numbers and percentages. So it's a different perception of how you look at Judaism. I believe in encouraging pluralistic Judaism in Israel on the one hand, and I believe on introducing the ever-changing society of Israel to North American Jews on the other hand. For example, through our Shinshinim program, we bring 18-year-old GAP kids to serve in the communities. It's a huge success. They live in the communities, they live with families, they teach, they speak, they meet youngsters, they connect, they go back to Israel as ambassadors of the American Jewish community.
We have one right now in our community.
Well, they're the best.
Yes,
they're
they are.
the best.
Yes.
So just an example of a multitude of projects and programs. We bring over the summer 1,200 Israeli counselors to camps. We have 120,000 kids in camps all over the world in the summer. We have Masa program, which is a huge success, whereby we bring Israeli experiences to young American Jews from Birthright, Taglit, Masa, Onward, and great other programs. So it's like trying to build a bridge to connect rather than lead to a rift.
Thank you. On that note, we'll take a break. We'll be right back with Mosaic. Coming up, more with Isaac Herzog on how the Jewish Agency for Israel is building a new normal for U.S.-Israel relations. There are few experiences that bring a family closer than an adventure in the land of Israel. Enjoy the magic of Hanukkah with your children or grandchildren on Jewish Federation of Palm Beach County's unforgettable, tailor-made journey through Israel's most magnificent sites and cities. It's happening December 22nd to 29th, 2019. Learn more and reserve your spot with the information on your screen.
Eat, drink, and enjoy Shabbat services at Temple Bethel's Friday night happenings. Cocktail reception and kosher dinner at 5:30, followed by our creative, musically driven Shabbat service. Traditional to progressive, the food and music change every Friday, and you'll want to stay for complimentary dessert.
Plan to spend the whole evening here, and you'll walk away and you'll say, wow, we're coming back next week. Welcome. Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat services at Temple Bethel, open to everyone. Join us every Friday night.
In celebration of Mosaic's 40th season, take a look at this classic clip from our archives.
What is the level of Jewish identity Jewish understanding, Jewish pride that we see in our younger generation today?
It's ironic. We're seeing at the same time an increase in Jewish pride and Jewish identification among a relatively small number of young Jews on college campuses. For example, Hillel membership is strong. Identification with Jewish causes is strong. Where we're seeing a tremendous weakening is in the unaffiliated. It used to be when you and I were in college, even if you weren't identified with Hillel, you felt positively in your Jewishness. Today, a lot of young Jewish people are embarrassed about Israel.
Yes.
They're embarrassed about Soviet Jewry. They're embarrassed about wanting to marry a Jewish spouse. They're embarrassed about being assertively Jewish. So I think we're winning in some quarters, but we're losing in many, many important quarters.
Yeah, but Alan, what can we do about it? It's kind of frightening. What can we do?
I think, first of all, we have to tell young Jewish men and women that being Jewish is something to be very proud of, that we are right, that the cause of Israel is just, that the cause of Ethiopian Jewry is a human rights cause, that the cause we fought for in Soviet Jewry is a wonderful example of private human rights in action. We have to give them something to be proud of. We have to tell them it's fine to identify with the human rights struggle in South Africa, but also identify with your own human rights struggle. We are just as authentic a human rights struggle as any other in the world.
There's no question.
We're back speaking with Isaac Herzog, and we were busy talking about Mossad. Do you want to elaborate a little more on what the program offers?
Look, as Mossad is the jewel in the crown of the programs of the Jewish Agency, and we partner with the Israeli government. And the greatness of the program is that it offers a multitude of choices to young American and other Jewish kids all over the world to take a gap year and stay and learn, but most importantly, experience Israel as it is. There is a distortion of the image of Israel abroad, and there is a distortion of the image of the diaspora in Israel. I've been going to every opinion maker in Israel and saying to them, learn the facts before you do. But the best way to learn is to go through Mossad, and I encourage the Federation here and philanthropists to support Mossad, because it's one of the most important tools to build leaders of tomorrow in the Jewish world.
You've recently said that there's an enormous change in American Jewry over the last 15 years due to the influence of millennials. Can you talk about that?
Well, we all know that millennials, I have millennials at home.
Me too.
So, when we compare the way we were brought up to the way millennials connect and how they're influenced in life, where social networks have the most important influence on their being, on the way they respond or they communicate, it makes a difference. I find, I grew up in America, and Israel was seen in one way, and Israel was taught to American Jews in one way. Today, millennials and young Jews ask questions in a different way. They want to know more. Sometimes they get a lot of information which is distorted through the web.
BDS too.
And a lot of BDS. That's why we have fellows. The Jewish Agency has Israel fellows on campuses with Hillel, try to deal with this and bringing a fairer picture of what Israel is all about and the just cause of Israel. So I think millennials are a huge challenge, because you need to get to them in a way that corresponds with what interests them. For example, I made it a point as leader of the Jewish Agency that we should use, for example, high tech as an experience, because millennials, young people all over the world deal with high tech. And Israel is a huge powerhouse for high tech. So why not combine both the professional interest as well as through this enkindle the affinity with the Jewish world, and so forth and so on. I mean, there are many, many fields that can bring us together.
How are you using the high tech? What do you?
So we have various programs. For example, through Mossad, we have the whole idea of bringing Mossad people to work and be affiliated with the high-tech industry in Israel. We have a small company called ITC, Israel Tech Challenge, where we bring Jews from all over the world to be trained as developers in high-tech, where they are already placed in work in the most lucrative high-tech firms in Israel if they want to. So they come for a year or even 6 months. There are various other experiences like high-tech fairs. Recently, a very impressive firm called Our Crowd. Our Crowd is a venture capital fund that operates from Jerusalem, headed by John Medved. He was once a Jewish emissary, an Oleh from America. He brought 18,000, mostly young people, mostly Jewish, to Jerusalem just 2 weeks ago to be in this high-tech fair. Innovativeness.
That's amazing.
And the Startup Central, which is another great venture supported by Paul Singer Foundation, or the Paris Center for Peace. These are all it's peace and innovation. These are all ventures that attract people on board.
Very, very exciting. On another topic, more than half of the children in our local community are raised in interfaith families. How is the Jewish Agency dealing with the new reality?
So it is a new reality, and it raises, of course, a lot of challenges that we need to deal with. Number one, the perception in Israel, of course, about it is totally different from the perception within American Jewish life. I'm trying to explain it to the Israeli leadership, including Orthodox and religious leadership, that this is a challenge we must meet together by way of opening up the doors to people who want to be part of the community. There's also interesting programs like Honeymoon Israel, which is a program inclusive, supported by the Jacobson Foundation from Boston. There's a lot of other issues that I've been discussing with Reform and conservative leadership. For us, and I said it from moment one, as I stepped into office, a Jew is a Jew is a Jew, no matter what he puts on his head, what he believes in, and how he practices or doesn't practice his Judaism.
Tell us about the Hebrew Initiative program that you've instituted,
Right.
and why is it so important?
So, as part of what we are talking about, keeping Jewish identity, because it's a major flag of our mission, to keep Jewish identity and Jewish continuity, and try, keeping Jews in the family, especially as with the younger generation. I thought that Hebrew can serve as an incredible common denominator. We have a beautiful, ancient historical language, which has been revived after 2,000 years in the most beautiful and prolific and noble way of developing a language which was almost annihilated throughout the ages, except by Jews who kept praying and learning the Talmud and the Mishnah and the Torah and the scriptures, and thereafter all of a sudden woke up. So why not know Hebrew? So first of all, there are day schools, of course, and day schools are doing a great job. There, our affiliate organization, the WZO, is doing a lot of work on education. But the most important thing is to find a way to communicate, I would say, by way of engagement. And there we are working on a program with experts of linguistics to introduce a quick way of Hebrew with a small vocabulary, slang and vocabulary that's updated, that when you land in Israel, you feel at home, at least with the basics of knowing what it is to know Hebrew. For example, we have an ulpan, which means a teaching class, to Russian Jews in Russia at the FSU, where 1,000 miles apart. We do it virtually on the web, 300 words, in a very quick way of teaching. So we're trying to practice it on other languages as well.
We have to take another break. We'll be back with the remainder of our program after this brief message. Coming up, more with Isaac Herzog on why Israel needs a 21st century relationship with young Americans and why the status quo won't work anymore.
Morse Life Memory Care is making a difference in the lives of our residents with innovative programs that offer them a more rewarding future. Our goal is to give our residents more time. Time for programs that help cognition, for favorite foods in our open kitchen any time of day, for fun with new friends, and time for family, free from care and worry. Most importantly, for the compassion and dignity they deserve. Morse Life is more life. Rent your apartment today.
We have over 100 Porsches out of the sun and rain in our 6-story parking garage.
So it's easy to find your dream car at Porsche West Palm Beach.
Porsche West Palm Beach, the #1 Porsche certified pre-owned center with the largest selection in Florida. Visit BraemanPorsche.com.
If it wasn't for the financial assistance, I couldn't come here.
Every little bit helps. She says, I get stronger every day.
When you have a child and you want the absolute best for them, it's twice as important to make the community strong.
We're back talking with Isaac Herzog, and I want to ask you, you've been very involved in politics and public life, but you also come from such an illustrious family. Your father, Chaim Herzog, was the 6th president of Israel. Your grandfather was the first chief rabbi of Israel, and you're the nephew of Abba Eben.
That's true.
You are Israeli royalty. How was it growing up in such a family?
Not easy. By the way, in the country, I'm known as the nickname Bougie. That's part of my branding in Israel. It's another issue. My mother was born in Egypt.
Oh.
Her parents were pioneers from Palestine, from Israel, who were deported by the Ottomans in World War I. And my grandfather in Egypt was the chief engineer of the Suez Canal. So mom's language with French turned out that I'm a bougie.
So what's bougie?
Bougie is a mixture between bouba, doll in Hebrew, and juju, which is a doll in French. For a long time, nobody knew that secret until one day in a party conference, in a party convention, Ehud Barak said, "Where's bougie?" And everybody was saying, "Who's bougie?" But actually, I come from I have a weight on my shoulders.
You do?
I'm very proud of it. Some people collapse with this weight, I can say. Not easy for most members of my family. From, in kindergarten, immediately I was told off. How could you behave like that as a naughty boy, as a grandson of the chief rabbi, etc. I didn't even know what she's talking about, the kindergarten teacher. And I have many, many important members in my family who've made a change in history,
yes,
including those you mentioned. I can also mention that my late father's uncle was Sidney Hillman. He was the head of the AFL-CIO and the closest friend of FDR when he did the New Deal. It's just another example of many, many.
Your dinner table conversation must have been amazing.
Dinner table conversation. Yes, it's true. You can imagine what it is to have Shabbos dinners with Dad Chaim Herzog, with Uncle Abba Iban, who was a legendary foreign minister of Israel. You can't escape stately matters. So, when we got married, my wife was with me here in Palm Beach. My mother asked her, "Are you ready? Are you ready for this task?" But we know that we have to serve the people, and I always knew that whatever I do, I'll serve the people.
How was it when you were running for office on your children, your family? Because with the internet, you're subject to all sorts of criticism 24/7.
You're right. So this is one of the most complicated situations, and I say to all our viewers, you have no idea what goes at the family of the elected official or the candidate. When Dad was a politician, my father Chaim Herzog was amongst others also a candidate for the Knesset. After being general and ambassador to the United Nations, he was elected to the Knesset and later on to be president of Israel. And so we knew that the newspapers close at 10 p.m. At least we could go to sleep at 11, nobody will disturb us. Now it's 24/7, and the crap goes on, sorry for this harsh word, but the crap goes on in your face 24/7. So let alone me, okay? I'm the candidate.
Right.
But why do my kids have to suffer? So Michal and I, my wife and I, we took a decision, we don't expose the kids at all. You won't see a picture of theirs, hardly people know their names. It
must have been so difficult to do that.
But I wonder what they went through. I asked them, I'm sure it'll come up when, as time goes by. How could they take it? Like last time I was the leading candidate for Prime Minister. I was as close as ever to Benjamin Netanyahu. I actually led the polls in the morning of the election day. And I don't have to tell you how much dirt and how much rudeness and cruelty there is on the social networks. And I wonder what my kids went through, because they read it all. They read it all. I know what my son went in high school through. It's not easy at all.
No.
So I tell them many times, but they're very proud of their father and their mother and their family legacy, and they're decent and stable people.
I'm sure they have a lot to be proud of. How do you switch from candidate for prime minister to chairman of the executive of the Jewish Agency for Israel?
So I have a passion for the Jewish people. I guess it's instilled in my DNA. And I led Labour Party into a major success in the last election. And in 2017, there was another election for the leadership of the party. And I lost the election for the leadership of the party because I insisted that there should be a national unity government in Israel between me and Netanyahu. I thought it's the right thing to do. I thought that the two major Zionist parties, big parties, should dilute the extreme minorities who influence Israeli politics, including pluralism. But I lost, and of course I stayed as leader of the opposition because my replacement was not a member of the Knesset. And I got a call. I spent the summer with my friends in America, where I heard only about the question of the identity and Jewish identity of their kids. And this haunted me. And I got back to Israel and started asking everybody, what are we doing about it? And then I get a phone call from Michael Siegel, the chairman of the Board of Governors of the Jewish Agency, an outstanding Jewish leader from Cleveland, Ohio, offering me to consider to put my name in the list. And I agreed. And I'm very happy that I have a leadership role, a worldwide leadership role in promoting the well-being of the story of the Jews of this era. This is a huge task and a historical obligation.
It really is, and the Jewish Agency is in wonderful hands with
Thank
you at the helm.
If you say it, how can I argue?
You can't. On that note, we have to say goodbye. Thank you so much for joining us.
Great honor.
Thank you, and thank you for joining us. Mosaic is brought to you by these generous sponsors and underwriters. Learn how you can support Mosaic by visiting jewishpalmbeach.org/mosaic.